Moving on to Indy next, it was a very chaotic first race that saw pole sitter Louis Foster not even make the first corner after contact with Hunter McElroy, but the race ended in an even more dramatic fashion. Nolan Siegel appeared to be just a few corners away from his first career win when he encountered gearbox trouble, causing him to drop all the way down to 8th in the running order. It allowed Reese Gold to take the win instead, ahead of Jagger Jones and Ernie Francis Jr. Now, in the second race, Siegel had the advantage of seeing a hard battle in front of him between Foster and Christian Rasmussen that dropped them down a couple of places. You see them still rounding off the podium in second and third, but Siegel was able to score some redemption and take the win and close the deal in race 2. So, Brandon, a lot to digest here with this Indy Next race weekend here in Detroit, and a brand new circuit for everybody in IndyCar. I know you were watching the first race. We were too in the media center. Just couldn't believe what we were seeing when Siegel fell off the pace there on the final lap. What was your reaction to that finish, and what do you think of the new Detroit circuit? It seems to be pretty divisive among the drivers and the fans.
Yeah, for sure. I was actually watching race 1. I was letting you guys know from the radio studio, so not exactly full attention on it, but was able to see that first turn 1 accident there from lap 1. And I was told by you guys about the gearbox trouble there for Siegel. That's horrific events there for Nolan. Just a few corners away, but it ended up going to Reese Gold there. Congratulations to Reese Gold for winning at Detroit. And as far as the overall circuit, they're divisive, I suppose, but I kind of like the change of scenery a little bit. As much as I was a fan of Belle Isle, I do like that we're going back to the streets of Detroit proper for the Detroit Grand Prix. And it, reminds you of Formula One in the late 80s when that was the place they went to. And it's got I really appreciate the long straightaway with the start finish line, but also the little narrow edges of the circuit too. And I was surprised for a street circuit how much elevation we get with Detroit. So a lot of good things I think that could be said about the new Detroit circuit, or I guess you could say the old new circuit, and really nothing to be disappointed about. Now, of course, I need to probably go watch some more racing from this weekend to see what people are concerned over, but certainly nothing we can't wait another year, wait another 2 years and see how it fans out.
So I'm always in favor of trying to get a larger sample size when it comes to judging new tracks or new up and coming talent or whatever the case may be in the sport. I feel like one race or one weekend usually isn't enough to fairly get a good sense of where we are in these sort of things here. And I think this is no exception here. When you look at this circuit, I know that a lot of drivers were saying that they were not a fan of it. I think Alexander Rossi, he was my pickle winner solely because he did put a positive post out on Instagram and got a couple comments from his fellow drivers that were like, really, you like this thing here? But I got to say, I do miss the fountain at Belle Isle, and I do miss that circuit. It was such a staple on the schedule for many, many years. But given the challenges of trying to promote a brand new street race, and given the fact that this really was the only change in the IndyCar schedule this season, I think there were 2 dates that kind of flip-flopped a little bit later on in the year. Nashville might have been one of them. I'm not too sure off the top of my head. But aside from that, sort of a change in location, still the Detroit area, but change. This is really the only new track on the schedule here for the IndyCar series. So certainly had high hopes and expectations for it. And I have to say, I think the finish for sure certainly delivered. A great battle between Alex Palou and Will Power and a couple others. I thought Alexander Rossi might have had a shot at it at the end with the contact with Power and Dixon there. You had Flavor Flav hanging out with Will Power all weekend. That was interesting to see on the broadcast there, how much attention he was getting and how much he seemed to be loving the action, which I suppose is great for him as well. But I think that we're going to need to see this, more than just once to truly get a good sense of where we are with this circuit. I hope it's a success. I hope that all the efforts from Penske Entertainment and everybody lead to some positive things here over the next several years. But at the same time, I do miss the Belle Isle circuit. That was one of my favorite street circuits. Obviously, nothing's going to beat Long Beach, I don't think, in terms of the history and prestige of that race. But certainly, obviously, dramatic finishes in the series we cover here on Indy Next. But the IndyCar race as well, I thought, went relatively well, all things considered.
Yeah, I believe so. I think it's just going to take some time for people to get some more, like you said, get some more sample tests of it as we go through the next few years.